Hey everyone, and welcome to another tutorial video. Basing tutorial video specifically. Now, it has been a hot minute since I've done one of these. Last one I did was my Tzeentch base scheme. That was a couple months ago, I think. And today, I mentioned it in a couple other previous videos that I wanted to do this. I'm bringing to you my base scheme for my Leagues of Votan's Crystal base. So, this one is a lot of fun to make. I'm also recording this in a very different way. You have seen it before, where I take like 5 different bases, and I have them each done to different steps, and then film one by one. No, this one you're getting the progression of this base. From start to finish. It's a new editing style for me. New way of recording, everything. So, yeah. Really moving on up. Let's see if it's actually any good, though. But yeah. So, this is a lot of fun. I really like this base scheme. And if you'll give me one moment, I'll be right back and I'll show you all the paints and tools and equipment, etc. that I use to make this. So, be right back. And here we have all the paints and brushes and tools that you're going to need to make your base. So, I'll start with the tools. First, this is a multi-purpose tool I have, but the important part is it has a file, which you will then use to file down your crystals. Now these I got from Green Stuff World. I'm actually due to buy some more. I'm kind of running low. But yeah, you're going to want resin crystals for your base. The brushes I use are... Oh, come on, if it'll get up. A Citadel large base brush. Whatever the fuck this is, but it's a size 4. It's a brush, it's one of those, it's a basing brush I use, but smaller than that. A medium dry, not a medium, a small dry brush from Citadel. And the texture stick. The texture paste stick thing. But yeah, that's all for the tools. Let me just move those aside now. Oh, sorry, you got a bit of a weird angle there from me. And now for everything else. First, start off with the texture paste. For this, I use Pro-Acryl's Brown Earth Fine Textured. That's what I used on the Hernkin Pioneers and what you have seen already on this base. I really like it. I notice it takes a bit longer to dry than like Vallejo or Citadel texture paste, but that's fine. Still worked, came out really good. And now for all the colors. This first one is absolutely optional. Pro-Acryl's Black Brown. You don't really need to do it. For my Hernkin Pioneers, I just left it as the Pro-Acryl Brown Earth base color. But if you want to get a nice clean coat of something else over it, Black Brown is where you go. Then you go to Golden Brown for highlighting. Khaki for a much finer highlight. Dark Neutral and Neutral Gray for the stones. And then on to the crystal paints. You're going to start with a black green, a bright green, a bright pale green, and the secret sauce, the fluorescent green. All my paints are from Pro-Acryl now. There are no hangers on from Citadel anymore. This is all the paint you will need to do the basing and to do the crystal. Oh, I forgot something very... what you'll want to do is use either black brown or... Where is it? Or dark umber for your base rim. This is what I'm using for base rim. Dark umber. But yeah, so give me 1 minute. I'll be right back with the next step. Or the first step, rather. Alright, and as you can see, I haven't put the texture paste down yet, but I have got the crystals glued on. You're always going to want to do that first. Figure out where your crystals are going to go, glue them down, and then put the basing texture around them. Very much looking forward to doing this space. So, I'll be right back with the next step. And first step is finished. So as you can see, what I went and did after gluing on the crystals, I went through and I grabbed the texture paste and I started getting that all up in there. Let me turn the light on quick. Yeah, give you a little more idea of the texture. All around, anywhere there isn't a rock or a crystal, throw on some of the basing texture. And even then, splatter some of that on the rocks, you know, make it look like it's being, some of the earth is being kicked up onto it. This is a battlefield after all. But yeah. So, as you can see, the texture is very dark. I know previously I said before you don't really need to paint the ground, but I was stupid and forgot one very key thing. You're going to have to prime this. So yeah, the black brown from Pro Acryl, very essential. So, with that, I'll be right back. And for the next step, priming. And here we have the base now that it's been primed. So as usual with me, I went with a Mechanicus Standard Gray for the primer. I don't know, like, it seems like it's very rare occasion that I use something other than gray. It's just a great jumping off point for pretty much every other color. So, I guess if I had to pick a second, it'd probably be black, just because of how dark the base coats everything is going to be. Like this one's going to start as dark neutral gray, this one's going to start as black brown, these are going to start as black green. But I like gray, and just a nice easy jumping off point. But, alright, give me 1 second. I'll be right back with the base coating step. And here we are after the base coating step. So, as you've seen, I've base coated the entire ground with black brown, dark neutral gray for the rock, and black green for the crystals. So it's at this point things are going to start to go a bit in a bit of a weird order, because normally what you would do. Well, sorry, first I'm going to shade, but highlighting is going to go a bit weird, and you'll see in a few minutes. But, yeah, just know things are going to be a bit odd in the order in which things are done. So, I'll be right back. And here it is after it's been shaded. Now, so I shaded the ground with Agrax Earthshade and the rock with Nuln Oil. Don't shade the crystals. The black-green already is going to work as the base coat, but these things you want them to glow and to shine. The crystals themselves do not get shaded at all. But from here, things are going to be done in a weird order. We're going to highlight the ground and the rocks before we even start highlighting the crystals. It's a whole different step because it's got a whole bunch of stuff that's got to go over the finished ground. So, I'll be right back with the next step. And here we are after the first steps of highlighting are done. So, one thing to share is in the last minute I made a judgment call, and on the rocks I added bright neutral gray to the highlight. Because with just neutral gray, it just wasn't enough. So, I decided, yeah, I'm going to add one more highlight of neutral gray. Also, one thing I forgot, and I'm dumb for forgetting, because, like, duh, I used this before, and you're going to need it for future steps, was a tiny dry brush. You can use this for things like the glow effect and the ground. But, on to the next. And here we are after, well, the next highlighting step for the crystals. Or rather, the first highlighting step. So I realized I actually forgot to show you something. In that when you base coat the crystals with this black green, you also want to take this brush here, a tiny little dry brush, and just pick up some paint, get it in there. Only wipe off a little bit of it. You still want a good amount on it. And then just stipple it on all around the crystals. Start with the black green. Go out pretty far as you want, really. And then you're going to go in with your regular, just Pro Acryl green. Come on. There we go. And start near. Don't go all the way down with the green. Leave a little bit of the black green at the very bottom of the crystal. But do really thin layers, like 2 or like 3 layers of green. Really thin it down. Because the last thing you want is for these to clump. So you want a nice smooth transition, really thin it down almost to a glaze. You might even want to do 3 or 4 layers of really thin green. And yeah, so you're just going to go out a bit. I'm actually probably going to extend out the green here to have it connect, because it's the intersection point of 2 different crystals. So, but yeah. So, I'll be right back with the next highlighting step. Alright, and we're back. Now, as you can probably see from the last shot, I have actually done a couple highlighting steps. Because honestly, you don't really need individual segments for it. So I'll explain to you what I did. So what you're going to do is, after you do the regular green, you're going to switch over to Pro Acryl's bright green. And you're going to do the exact same thing as you did with the regular green, except now, instead of starting at like 75% the way up, you're going to start at the halfway point and paint everything above that. Try to make it a little uneven, you know. Like, see on the smaller crystal on the right, you can see it kind of dips down a bit in the green. Yeah, just make it a little uneven. And yeah, then what you're going to do after that is you're going to take a 50-50 mix, or a roughly 50-50. You might have to do more because bright green is much more powerful than the other. A mix of roughly the halfway point between bright green and bright pale green. And then you're going to do maybe only like the top 20 to 15%, 25%-ish of the crystals. And then after that, see, if you zoom in, you can see you can actually see the jumps in there. What you're going to do after that is you're going to take a pure bright pale green, and you're just going to edge highlight the top. The edges and the tops of the crystals. You can honestly skip this part if you want. And I know it looks kind of jarring now, but trust me, after the next step, it'll look way better. I promise you that. It'll look so much better. But with that in mind, I'll be right back with the next step. And we're back. And as you can see, what I did on this step made a big difference in the color. So, for this final highlight, and this is the final highlighting step, what you're going to do is you're going to get yourself the Pro Acryl Fluorescent Green. And to use the words of the founder of Pro Acryl, you're never going to achieve full opacity with this. Never. It's a fluorescent. So what you're going to do is you're going to thin it down a bit, and you're going to put like 3 or 4 thin-ass layers, almost like a glaze, over the whole model, over the whole green bits. anywhere where the green would be really bright on the ground and over the whole crystal. Really ties it all together, blends in that transition. But, yeah. All that's left now is the base rim. And here we are with the final product. The end result of the base scheme. I do not have a turning platform, so this gonna have to do. But yeah, I have now applied dark umber to the base and a matte varnish to the whole thing. Oh, also a little fun tip for you. When doing the base rim, do 2 layers of matte varnish. Because you're going to be touching that with your greasy little hands, and everyone else in the fucking world will be touching them with their greasy fingers. Just do a second coat of matte varnish on the base rim. You won't regret it. But yeah. So, with all that said and done, here's the base. Now, there are certain things you could obviously do differently should you so desire. Like, you don't really need to do the edge highlight of the pure pale green. That's just something I like to do myself. But yeah. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if this video was helpful at all. And thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time.